Greetings, I am Pillar Nexus, the Ancient Gladiator, today with Pillar Loves Tabletop Games. Today's episode is Star Wars Outer Rim. The goal of the game is to reach either 10 fame for a normal game, 8 if it's a learning game, or 12 if it's a long game. There are many ways to get fame, including doing jobs and fighting patrols. So as part of the setup, you'll have your choice of characters, for example, Han Solo. Depending on what character you end up with, you might start with a certain reputation. So Han Solo has negative reputation with it. Your little board gives you 4 sliders. A token at the bottom of the reputation is negative, at the top is positive, and in the middle is neutral. There are only those 3. Don't worry about the little lines in between them. After you get your starting character, they will have a starting job. So we've got Herd of Shocks. Oh yeah, I should note that I'm also utilizing things from the Unfinished Business expansion as well. So I'll be featuring that as well. But yeah, your starting job will give you a starting planet. So for Han Solo, he's got to take cargo from Naboo to the Spinward Core. For my other character over here, we've got Boba Fett, who starts with a bounty. So starting jobs will either be cargo, going after bounties, or just a regular old job. Going somewhere and doing stuff, testing your skills. The player who's actually going first starts with 4,000 credits, and then every player after gets an extra 2,000 for every player before them. And then the first player will take their first turn. So, as part of the turn, you've got your planning step. You have one choice of 3 to make. Move your ship based on its speed. At the start of the game, you either have the G9 Rigger or the G1A Starfighter. The Starfighter is for actual combat. The G9 is for moving quickly. Which, if you got cargo, you probably want to be fast. So, the G9 can move 6. Well, there's 2 ways to get to the Spinward Core. The long way, or traveling through the core planets. Which I'll explain when we get to it. So, move by number of nav points and or planets. Following the lines. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Alright. And then there's your action step. Oh wait. One of the choices was to move. One of your other choices is to just gain 2,000 credits. Because sometimes you're just short on money and you're going to need to help your ship out. And finally, recover all damage from your character and ship. Your ship can take an amount of damage equal to that yellow symbol at the bottom. So hull can take 3. The Starfighter can take 4. Han Solo can take 4. Oh. Your characters will have special abilities that you should be paying attention to. So his ships move too faster. Alright. But once you've made your choice for the planning step, you go on to the action step. You can deliver cargo and bounties. So if you're on a planet that, let's say we made it over here, and you're at your destination, you deliver, and you get the reward, and the card is removed. So in order to get that 5,000 credits, I gotta get over there. Market action, if you're on a planet. The planets are out here. Do the core worlds count as planets for... they are counted. The core worlds are counted as planets for market action purposes, including all game purposes, including market actions. So, the first thing you can do is you can discard the top 2 cards of a market deck. There's the bounties market, which are jobs to go capture or eliminate certain contacts or equipment that will help you specifically with that. Jobs, where you go somewhere and do something and get paid for it. Ships, which expand your capabilities for movement and space combat. Gear, which expand your capabilities for yourself and your ship. Cargo, which you pick up and deliver to other places to make money. Unfinished business adds some stuff that rotates, so you'll deliver stuff to one planet, and then they'll turn it into stuff that you can take to another planet and sell somewhere else. And finally, there's the luxury market. Very expensive, but each one is key to gaining fame. And fame is how you win. So after you choose whether or not you wish to discard cards, you can buy the top card of the market deck. So let's say while we're here, we'll go ahead and buy Astromech droid parts for 1,000. Except that we don't have the cargo space for it. So we're going to have to wait till we get the spin war core to do it. But let's say we do get there and buy that. It'll flip up the next card, and symbols on the next card will activate. The patrol will move. The Imperial patrol will move 3.5 points closer. To whom? Well, let's look at the way patrols work. Okay. The patrol will move towards you. So, and if I remember, I think they may very well try to go through the core worlds in the process. I don't. I'm trying to remember. Yeah. Patrols cannot cross through the core worlds. Okay. So they'll have to take the long way around if you decide to shortcut through the core worlds. So let's say we're over here. We bought the card. The Imperial Patrol is going to go 1, 2, 3 closer, because that'll get them closer to where I'm at. See, without the core worlds, the galaxy is a very, very, very much trickier place to deal with, because that's where it would cut off normally. Anyway. You can only buy a single market card per turn. Alternatively, if you're in the same space as a player, you can trade cards. Maybe you just have something you want. Limits on trading. What else? You can trade bounties, cargo, gear, jobs, and mods. And crew, because you might pick up crew from certain contacts. You can always exchange credits, including for promises of future help. Yeah. Send it back. There's a lot of additional player interaction that gets involved with unfinished business as well. But after you've done your action step, you have your encounter. You either, if you're in the space of a patrol, which, by the way, if you're moving through a patrol space and you do not have positive reputation, you're going to have to stop there. In addition, if you have negative reputation with a patrol, you have to fight them as part of your encounter. So, upon moving into the hut's patrol space, he has to stop there. Fighting in space combat, you will roll dice equal to your ship's turret value. An opposing player will then roll the dice for the turret value on the patrol. And then you have to do more hits to them and survive to win the combat. So, we tried to fight the hut patrol with the G9. I got one hit. The regular hit just does one. There are 3. They didn't roll any hits, so I win the combat. When you win a combat against a patrol, you get whatever the reward is at the bottom. Money for the level 1, or fame for the levels 2 and 3. When you defeat a patrol, tokens removed and the next level comes up. At some point, what will happen is their strongest patrol comes out, and then that patrol is basically invincible. Run or die against them. Yeah. But yeah, if you're not fighting a patrol, then you might resolve an encounter card. Let's say you're just stuck at a nav point. You pull a nav point card. If you're on one of these 2 planets, you pull this card. And the little cards will let you know what you can expect for most of the planetary ones. The core worlds. You have to decide when you pull the core worlds card whether or not you're trying to get across the core or not. If you have negative Imperial reputation, it is recommended not to try crossing the core. But I need to get across, so that's what I'm going to end up doing. And finally, the last option is resolve a contact token. You might be at a planet with contact tokens, and you have your choice to flip one of them up and resolve it. The unfinished business adds the orange contact tokens, which go on a planet. You can choose them as well. One of the things that might happen with the market step as of the unfinished business expansion is flipping up a contact on your planet. If you buy the card from the market and the market card flips up as showing this symbol, and it's that many players in the game, you can choose a contact token and flip it up to know what it is ahead of time, instead of having to choose to encounter it while it's face down, sight unseen. But let's go ahead and actually resolve the encounter of trying to cross the core with Han Solo. So you'll flip the card up and you'll read it. Some cards, where is it? There is. Some cards might say secret. You'll flip the card upside down, read it to yourself, and then keep the card. And when you actually get to the position where you can resolve the secret, you'll reveal it and resolve it as it says. If you're ever defeated, any secrets get discarded. So, across the core. What a terrible space. What a terrible place to run out of hyperfuel. I mean, spend 2,000 credits to move directly to the other core world space, which I kind of need to do. Alright. Alright. So after you resolve an encounter card, it goes underneath. After you've done your encounter, it is the next player's turn. So it's possible to get defeated in the game by taking damage equal to your character health or ship health. When that happens, you lose 3,000 credits, or all of it if you have less than that. You discard all of your secrets. You finish your turn. You were laid down. On your next turn, you have to recover all your damage. It covers everything on your ship, everything on your character. And then you're no longer defeated. And then you can continue on with your turn as normal. Of course, you may be stuck for a while trying to maybe build up some extra money, be able to get somewhere. But thankfully, that's probably the worst that really happens. Losing secrets probably sucks, but it's better than losing a lot of the good stuff you might have. But it means not moving anywhere and not making any money for a turn. But anyway, once you're done with the turn, next player takes theirs, and then it continues on. Things that are going to happen along the way. Actually doing jobs. For example, infiltrate the white worms requires resolving a certain card. So this is the data bank. I have split it up into a few piles because one gigantic pile with sleeved cards is not going to hold up very well. So we need card 58, which the game has given 2 copies of. So one of these will be actually resolved. You'll have kind of a hint of what to expect in the little white line up here underneath job. So, influence, stealth, strength, tactics. The ones in italic are maybe, I think. Yeah. Because one will be influence and the other will be stealth. But you'll do skill tests and then proceed down until you either complete things or you suffer enough damage to be defeated and have to try again on the next turn. Possibly ending up with a different card. Or on the turn after. So, in order to do skill tests, you look at what skills you have. If you don't have any of the skills listed, like Han Solo starts with piloting and tech. Any other skill can only be succeeded by rolling a critical, the big starburst. You roll 2 dice, and if you roll at least 1, then you succeed. If you actually have the skill you're testing for, then regular hit symbols will be enough. If you have the skill more than once, then these little eyeball focus symbols count as well. So it's good to have at least one in a given skill. If you know what job you're working on, then you want to try to maybe get twice just to be absolutely sure. Other things, your ships have limits to what they can carry, along with your character. Your character can have up to 2 gear cards, up to 2 jobs and/or bounties. Uh, your starting ship is limited to 1 cargo, 1 mod, 1 crew. If you build up the money to it, you can buy yourself a new ship. For example, the Jumpmaster 5000 for 10,000 credits. Ships are not cheap. When you get a new ship, you replace your starter ship, and then you take ship from the pile. So, where's that? Jumpmaster 5000. And on one side, it'll show ship goal. Encounter 2 nav point spaces to gain 1 fame and flip this sheet. When you achieve the ship goal, you flip it over, and the actual legendary name of the ship comes through. So, Punishing One. And you have a special ability, long range sensors, result in nav point encounter card even if you're on a planet as part of your encounter step. Of course, the notable ships of Han Solo and Boba Fett are going to be in here as well, plus others from Star Wars canon. Yeah. Achieving that ship goal is one way to get fame. Your character also has a personal goal of have a ship, like for Han Solo, it's have a ship with a cost of at least 15,000 credits to gain 1 fame and flip this card. And then when he moves into a patrol space, you can test piloting. If you pass, you don't have to end your movement in space. Considering he already has 1 piloting, that's pretty cool. But of course, would have needed a more expensive ship than this one. But yeah, it's worth paying attention to what kind of prices you can expect to pay for stuff. The luxury deck is 10 to 20,000. The ship deck is 5 to 20,000. The gear deck's gonna be like up to, I want to say like 7,000 to 8,000. Cargo is pretty cheap to come by, unless it's illegal, I think. So it's like 1,000. Actually, it might even be free. Some of it's like 3,000. Cargo is cheap to buy, and then you get good money for delivering it. Jobs are usually free. Because jobs, you go do them, and then they pay off. Although it's possible to get hired help for 1,000. See, bounties are also free. Although, there are some bounties in there that are like, you go after another player that has negative reputation. And then there's the information broker card. Choose a planet that doesn't have any players on it, reveal all contact tokens. Then shuffle the card back into the deck. But yeah, the most you'll ever have to pay for anything is 20,000. Of course, actually getting to that point is going to be rough if you're not investing into the things that are going to help you with it. And then, is there anything else? Bounties. Oh yes, bounties. So after you find the contact, let's say Alright, let's say you've got a bounty job and you find the contact. What you'll have to do is fight them in ground combat. Let's see here. Having to go after bounties is a real pain in the ass, because you're going to have to search high and low for every... Oh, that's right, that's a white symbol. You can kind of get an idea of how difficult it's going to be based on how many little the symbols are at the bottom. Alright, so let's say I finally find them. Alright. So to fight them on the planet, you use your ground combat. So Boba Fett is 3. And again, it's fighting as normal. You win the combat as long as you get more hits. The critical symbol is worth 2 hits if it comes up. And there. Now I'm taking 1 in the process, but it's fine. So, after you win the combat, you have the option to eliminate them or capture them. If you eliminate them, you just get the money, a little bit of money, and some fame, and you don't have to deal with the hassle of getting them somewhere else. If you capture them, you then have to take them to their destination, which is very conveniently right over there. You'll get more money and probably the same amount of fame anyway. After you gain your rewards from the card, remove it from the game. That bounty is captured or dead and no longer come up in the bounty deck. Let's see. Sometimes you'll have a bounty for a contact that is not on the map because a player has recruited that contact as crew. If you have a bounty for your own crew card, you can fight a crew combat. Or you can fight a combat against that crew as your encounter. If you lose, the crew escapes to the nearest planet. When you're fighting a combat against one of your own crew, you cannot use their abilities. And then, if you fight against another player's crew as your encounter, but only if you're in that player's space. Start the combat, that player chooses whether they wish to protect the crew. If they protect the crew, you fight a combat against the player instead. Fight a ground combat if you're on a planet, or ship combat if you're in space. If they don't, you fight a combat against the crew themselves. And then if you win the combat, you can either capture or eliminate. I'm not sure if there's a way to, if someone has a captured bounty, for someone else to go, like, I'm going to fight your ship and take them and have them join my crew anyway. Option. Other stuff with unfinished business. So, the core game for Outer Rim has a very limited number of cards. It is very easy to see a lot of the same stuff from one game to the next. And the expansion adds more cards for each of the decks. An entirely new deck with core worlds and crossing the core. More databank cards for starting jobs and other things. More cards for all the markets. More ships. More characters. Just more, and more. And you know what? I'm all for it. They also add the orange contact tokens, which are going to be fairly tricky to deal with. more of these are going to be based on the characters, playable characters. When that happens and the character is already in play as a character, player character, the token gets removed and you flip something else. If you pull a bounty card for a player character, I believe it's just lost. Actually, instead of going after the contact token for that character, you have to go to that character's actual space and fight the appropriate combat. And if you win the combat, you complete the bounty. And instead of the regular rewards, you get 5,000 credits, 1 fame, and if the defending player has negative reputation with any of the factions, you get a reputation with one of those factions. But if they have positive reputation, then you lose reputation with one of those factions. It's possible to get both. After completing the bounty card is removed from the game. Unlike a bounty for a contact, the player does not have the option to capture another player's character. A player cannot complete a bounty for their own character. However, they can gain their character's bounty card and prevent other people from doing it. There's also going to be jobs that require multiple players, which will get removed in the solo play. There are jobs that require you to directly antagonize another player. Let's see. I already covered rotating assets. It's a new thing. Favors. So, expanding from the trade system of the base game, players can now ask for one of 4 favors from another player. Choose a skill to gain for your skill test during the next turn, or the current turn. The chosen skill has to be on the character or crew of the player granting it. Or roll an additional die for combat while in your character ship. Or choose the faction that the player who is granting the favor has positive with. You're treated as having positive until end of turn. That helps you get past the patrols. Or just get 1 hyperdrive ship movement until end of turn. Player agrees to grant a favor, the requesting player gets the effect. Requests for favors cannot be done after dice are rolled. This has to be done at any time before that. Keeping track of favors might be a little bit challenging, and so the game has included debt tokens. If we're using the favors rule, each player starts with their own debt token. You can trade a debt token anytime during the game. And then someone can give it back to you and request a favor. So, give you this favor on one turn, you give me this favor on the next turn, that kind of thing. And then there are ambitions. So, they come with about 8 of these. So, Galaxy's Most Feared. This changes the setup of the game. Instead of getting your usual money, you'll get like a certain amount of money and maybe a certain job. And you'll need to complete certain objectives. Like getting the reward from a lower level bounty, a higher level bounty, defeating 1 patrol, and then once you have at least 8 fame, going for the final action, gaining card 97, and then getting the reward for pulling it off. That's an example. That's one example. There's bounty hunting, there's helping the rebellion, there's serving the empire, just being a crime lord or pirate or explorer or smuggler. This is probably one of my favorite aspects that they added to the core game. Yeah, the expansion is why I was willing to give this game a second chance. Why do I like this game? Let me tell you about a game called Firefly. I love the verse for Firefly, but the board game is a gigantic pain in the ass. It has the opposite problem. Too many cards, too much randomness. A lot of Galaxy was just fucking empty. And the game took way longer than it needed to. And there's just a little too much chaos. I'm not a big fan of the Star Wars verse. I don't hate it. It's probably, in terms of sci-fi universes, it's probably somewhere in maybe my upper 10 as good to okay. But I love this game. This game got it right. It it makes it provides this nice little space in the center for cards, even though if I have them arranged really weird. Uh, it's the flavor of the game is pretty wonderful to enjoy as well. And again, the expansion did so much for it that this is now an essential game for my collection. It's this is how I would want to experience the Star Wars verse. Just exploring the space, doing whatever, and getting fame, and having cool ships and awesome gear and wonderful crew. Oh yeah, that's the thing I forgot to cover is crew. Is when you when you encounter contact, you'll draw their data card and encounter it. Um, Need a better option than that one. This one, oh, like if you encounter her and you complete the encounter or meet the other requirements, uh, like she can join your crew and you now have that skill or that skill at a better level. And of course, there's room for one more crew on the ship at least. Oh yeah, there's another thing I forget. I'm sorry I keep forgetting all that stuff and I'm kind of doing this half-assed, but I just wanted to cover this game. Uh, as part of buying stuff, you can barter other things in the process. Like when you go to buy a new ship, if your old ship is worth anything, you can uh, save some money that way. Anything you barter away will go to the bottom of its deck. Yeah, it's just this is the game that did it right for me. It's just it's just awesome. Even if I'm not the biggest like super fan of Star Wars, this is how I like the experience in the universe of it. So yeah, Star Wars Outer Rim, check it out. Uh, if you like the base game enough, get the expansion. The expansion is just critical to this game. All right, thanks for watching, Spiller. See you next time.